contact the police department. Anybody who has any information, whoever has children out there knows how much their child means to them. Allow them to bring her home safely to us. Shaniya, if you're listening today, I miss you so much, honey, and I'm waiting for you. I'm not going to give up, and you don't give up either, honey.
On that cold November morning, the world seemed to stand still, holding its breath over Fayetteville, North Carolina. The air was thick with an unspeakable tension, that particular silence that precedes a storm, as if the universe itself was mourning what was about to happen. It was on this day that the innocence of an entire community was shattered, and the name Shaniya Davis forever became synonymous with unimaginable grief and loss. The day began as usual, people going about their daily lives, unaware that in a few hours their world would be upended in an instant. Evil had reared its monstrous head, leaving an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of everyone who heard this story. As details of that fateful day began to unfold, a collective grief gripped the nation in a way rarely seen. Shaniya Davis was a sweet, vivacious little girl, full of the boundless energy and curiosity that defined childhood itself. Little Shaniya had a magical gift for bringing joy to anyone who watched her play. More than anything, she loved dressing up in her favorite princess dress and dancing around in tiny plastic heels. With a sparkle in her eye and a radiant smile, she'd twirl and giggle, transforming an ordinary living room into her enchanted kingdom. One moment, she might be spinning in her beloved princess gown, the next, swapping her tiara for a helmet as she zoomed around on her scooter or played basketball with her brother. Shaniya also loved to draw and color. Favoring pinks and yellows, she would fill pages with vibrant drawings and fantastical scenes. Having just begun her educational journey in kindergarten, she proved herself an eager student. She was enchanted by story time, enthralled by tales of adventure and magic. Her teachers at Morganton Road Elementary often noted her eagerness to participate in everything and her ability to inspire her classmates with her enthusiasm. She also loved to sing and dreamed of joining the children's choir at the local church. Shaniya's father, Bradley Lockhart, had met her mother, Antoinette, at a party. Their relationship was brief, and he only learned of the pregnancy shortly before his daughter was born. For the first 2 years of her life, Shaniya lived with her mother, while Bradley would pick up his daughter on weekends for visits. When Shaniya was around 3 years old, she moved in with Bradley and his other children after he bought a large enough house in Fayetteville, Georgia. Antoinette still saw her daughter frequently, but Bradley's sister Carrie played a huge role in Shaniya's young life, becoming a second mother to her and helping provide a stable environment for the little girl in her new home. Antoinette struggled with addiction, which deeply impacted every aspect of her life. Consumed by her own issues, she often failed to provide the care and attention her children so desperately needed. Her substance dependency overshadowed her maternal duties, leading to frequent neglect of the children and a chaotic home environment. In September 2009, Bradley made a decision that would forever alter his family's life. He allowed Shaniya to live with her mother again. It was an informal and supposedly temporary arrangement. The decision to entrust Shaniya to her mother was made with hope and optimism. Bradley believed that despite her troubled past, Antoinette had turned a corner. She had just started a new job and seemed genuinely committed to turning her life around. Shaniya and Carrie had serious reservations about this arrangement and vehemently opposed Bradley's decision, fearing for the little girl's safety. Tragically, their concerns would prove prophetic. This decision would have devastating consequences. Antoinette was living in a run-down high-crime trailer park in Fayetteville with her sister Brenda Davis, Brenda's boyfriend Jeroy, and their children. The conditions were far from acceptable. The cramped trailer was overcrowded, leaving the children with no space or privacy. Little Shaniya, only 5 years old, couldn't have imagined the dark turn her life was about to take. The grim morning of November 10th, 2009 had begun at 6:52. The eerie silence was shattered by a chilling call to 911. Antoinette's voice, laced with feigned panic, reported her daughter missing.
911, where's your emergency? Yes, ma'am. My name is Antoinette Davis. Let's see, Hollow. Ma'am. My name is Antoinette Davis, 1116 Hollow. Okay, I'm not getting your address clear. Can you hold down a little bit and tell me again? 1116 Hollow. 1116A. One kid? Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. How can I help you? I woke up this morning and my daughter was not in the house. I don't know if she walked out. I don't know what's going on, but she's not here. How old is your daughter? She's 5. 5? Yes, ma'am. Okay. What time did you wake up? When did you last there? I saw her at 5:30 last night. 5:30 last night. Is that when you put her to bed? Yes, ma'am. No, when she went back to bed. Okay. That was 5 this morning. Is that what you're telling me? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Were there any doors open or anything like that? She know how to unlock the front door. Okay. What is her name? Shaniya Davis. Spell that name for me. S-A-A-N-I-Y-A. And she white, black, or Hispanic? She's mixed. Okay. She's biracial. What was she wearing? She's wearing just a big old blue shirt with designs on the front, so that hair is out. Okay. Did she have on any pants? She didn't take no shoes, no pants, no nothing. Did she have on underwear? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Do you know what color? They're white and got pink. I can't really remember. They're like white with pink designs on them. Okay. Okay. And you said none of the doors were open? No, ma'am. There were lots, but she knows how to unlock the front door. Was it closed this morning? Ma'am. And you said it was around 5:30? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Have you checked the neighborhood? I checked everywhere. I haven't checked the back end of the neighborhood yet, but I checked the front end. I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do. Are there any more juveniles inside the home? It's my son, but he's here. Okay. And your door was not unlocked, that's what you're telling me? No, it was not unlocked. But I'm telling you, she knows how to unlock it. I'm hoping that she didn't unlock it and walk out. Okay. What's the number you're calling me from, ma'am? Okay, we already got your call in. We're going to get someone out. You said her hair was out? Yeah. It's like a bushy afro. How much does she weigh, do you know? I don't know, ma'am. I don't remember. Okay. All right, ma'am. Just try to, check your home again and check around the neighborhood. If anything changes, call us back. But we already got the call in, and we're going to get someone out as soon as we can, okay? All right, ma'am. Thank you.
Beneath this frantic plea for help lay a dark and twisted reality, masked by her cries for assistance. The weight of her actions and the sinister deal struck in the night loomed over everything, making her pleas all the more haunting. The events of that morning had begun to unfold even earlier. Around 5:30, Antoinette's sister, Brenda Davis, and her boyfriend, Jeroy, briefly woke up hearing someone open their bedroom door. They didn't get up to check and went back to sleep. Not even half an hour had passed when Antoinette burst into their room, rousing them with the news that Shaniya was gone. After waking Brenda and Jeroy, Antoinette went out to search for her daughter. Meanwhile, her son Carl shared critically important information with Brenda and Jeroy. He had seen a man named Mario McNeill, known as Mono, in the trailer earlier that morning. Mono was Brenda's ex-boyfriend and well known to Antoinette. He was a frequent visitor to the trailer and knew how to get inside even when the doors were locked. Mano lived about 5 minutes away from the trailer with the mother of his 18-month-old daughter, April. The night before and into the early hours of November 10th, Mano had been using drugs and alcohol, entertaining himself by sending messages to women from his phone in search of company. He tried to contact Brenda, but her phone was off. He then messaged another woman, Tisha McLean, who also lived in the same trailer park. Tisha agreed to let Mano in, but when he arrived at her trailer at 2:52 in the morning, she was already asleep and didn't answer the door. Around 3, he tried to reach Brenda again, but to no avail. Having heard from Carl about Mano's presence in the trailer, Brenda grew concerned and tried to contact him to find out why he was there and if he knew anything about Shaniya's whereabouts. There was no response. Giroy called April, Mano's girlfriend, but she said she didn't know where he was. Antoinette claimed to have canvassed the entire trailer park, knocking on every door and asking about Shaniya. No one had seen her. Brenda insisted on calling the police, but Antoinette hesitated. Eventually, she relented and made the call to 911. Shortly after 7, the police arrived and began the search with the help of tracking dogs and by questioning residents. During the questioning, Carl mentioned that he remembered Shaniya going to bed, but didn't recall her leaving the bedroom. Perhaps out of fear, he didn't mention Mano's presence in the trailer. The police noticed that Brenda and Antoinette were constantly distracted by their phones, exchanging messages instead of focusing their attention on the investigation. The police suggested they come to the station for official statements. At the station, Brenda received a message from Mano denying his presence at the trailer and inquiring why Giroy was asking April about him. Brenda didn't share the correspondence with Mano or Carl's account of his presence in the trailer with the police. She didn't want to jump to conclusions about Mano's involvement in Shaniya's disappearance. But it was at this moment that a call came in that would dramatically shift the course of the investigation. The call was from an employee at the Comfort Inn & Suites, located an hour's drive away in Sanford. Having seen the Amber Alert about the missing Shaniya, she recognized the description as matching a child who had checked in with one of the guests. Review of the surveillance footage confirmed it was Mano with Shaniya. The cameras captured his arrival at the front desk around 6 in the morning. He gave his real name, Mario McNeill, and explained to the clerk that he was traveling with his daughter to her mother in Virginia. After checking in, he returned to the parking lot and soon reappeared, carrying Shaniya wrapped in a blue blanket, barefoot. He took the elevator to the second floor to his room, where he was spotted by another guest. Soon, the staff saw him in the breakfast area, where he was gathering food and drinks. He didn't stay to eat there, but returned with everything to his room. Around 7:30, the camera showed Mano leaving the room with Shaniya in his arms, descending to the first floor. He exited through a side door. A maintenance worker noticed Mano carrying the girl over his shoulder, wrapped in a blanket as if asleep. Something about his demeanor seemed suspicious, so the worker continued to observe. He saw Mano place Shea in the back right seat of his car before getting into the driver's seat and lighting a cigarette. Mano then pulled up to the entrance and went to the front desk himself to check out, explaining that he was in a hurry to get his daughter to Virginia. Mano's stay at the hotel lasted less than 2 hours, which also raised suspicions among the staff. The cameras recorded his departure at 7:40 in the morning. At the police station, Brenda, realizing Mano's possible involvement, began cooperating with the investigation and finally shared Carl's account. The police were confident they had found Shea's abductor and mobilized all resources to find him. Mano's location was tracked via cell phone signals. He was in the area of Highway 887. A search party was quickly organized, focusing on the territory between Spring Lake and Sanford. Soon, his car was found parked backward, near an apartment complex not far from his residence. Having located Mano and his vehicle but not finding Shaniya, law enforcement experienced a mix of emotions. The sense of urgency and hope intensified as they realized a critically important piece of the puzzle was still missing. The disappointment of being so close yet still so far from rescuing the little girl weighed heavily on them, fueling their determination to leave no stone unturned in the search. Meanwhile, the investigation gained new evidence. A blanket, likely belonging to the little girl, was found in a dumpster. Reporter Dan Bowens was reporting live from Fayetteville, sharing that the rainy weather was complicating the investigation. However, the search for Shaniya remained the top priority for the police department. The forensics team arrived at the Sleepy Hollow mobile home park, where yellow police tape now surrounded the trailer where Shaniya was last seen. According to her mother, she had put her daughter on the couch around 5:30 in the morning on Tuesday. When she came to check on her an hour later, the girl was gone. Neighbor Andrea Moore recounted hearing someone near her home around 3 in the morning. When the knocking stopped, she went back to sleep, only to wake up to the police at her door. They informed her that they had found a blanket belonging to the missing girl in her trash can. Investigators discovered that the blanket was covered in feces. as were the porch and railings near the little girl's home. The Davis family couldn't return home due to the health hazard from the sewage leak. The police were also reviewing surveillance footage to see who was leaving the trailer park around 3 in the morning. During interrogation, Mono admitted to driving around the trailer park after midnight but denied visiting Brenda's trailer. He claimed he had never seen Shaniya and didn't know who she was. Even when police showed him the hotel surveillance footage where he was clearly captured, he brazenly denied everything, claiming someone must have stolen his ID. However, under the pressure of relentless questioning and mounting evidence, his facade began to crumble. He finally admitted to being at the hotel with Shaniya, claiming he received a message from Brenda's phone instructing him to pick up the girl from the porch. According to him, after the hotel, he received a call from an unknown number with orders to deliver Shaniya to a dry cleaner's. The police quickly exposed his lies. There was no message or call from Brenda's phone, nor any record of calls from an unknown number. Unable to escape the fact of his presence with Shaniya at the hotel, Mono was arrested for kidnapping. Meanwhile, suspicions about Antoinette were growing. She was not only refusing to cooperate, but was providing conflicting information. Initially, she accused her boyfriend Clarence of abducting Shaniya, leading to his arrest. But he was quickly released when the hotel footage proved Mono's involvement. After hours of interrogation, Antoinette could no longer withstand the pressure. Her resolve crumbled as she confessed to a crime so vile, even the most hardened detectives were stunned. A deathly silence fell over the room as she revealed the hideous truth. She had given Shaniya to Mono in exchange for a $200 debt, saying they were only supposed to have sex. Antoinette was immediately arrested for human trafficking. Shockingly, in February, she was released on a $51,000 bond. Law enforcement continued to search desperately for Shaniya in the Highway 887 area. Day after day passed with no sign of the little girl. Everything changed 6 days after her disappearance. The dense forest held its breath as the search party trudged through the underbrush. The sun was setting, casting long shadows, when the words, "I found something," rang out. There, among decaying deer carcasses, lay the body of little Shaniya. The sight knocked the wind out of even the seasoned rescuers. The world seemed to pause in silent grief for the precious child's life so tragically cut short. Around 250 rescuers and volunteers had been involved in the search. One of the search party members who found the body about 100 feet off Walker Road shared, "It's just a shame, I come out here because I got 2 daughters, and looking at that guy pleading for his daughter to get found, you just feel that feeling in your stomach, and you just want to come out here and help any way you can." The cause of Shaniya's death was determined to be asphyxiation, but before her death, the little girl endured inhuman suffering. On November 13, 2009, Mono was formally charged with first-degree murder. In October 2013, Antoinette accepted a plea deal that spared her from life in prison. She was sentenced to 17.5 to 21 years, with credit for time served. In the courtroom, Antoinette attempted to apologize to Shaniya's father. The defendant, Mono, was sentenced to death in the spring of 2013, and in 2018, the Supreme Court of Georgia affirmed this sentence. Little Shaniya was failed by every adult in her life who was meant to protect her. But the failure didn't stop with them. The institutions designed to safeguard children, the school, child protective services, all proved ineffective. The signs of neglect and danger weren't just missed, they were ignored. These systemic failures reflect deeper flaws in our society, where the cracks are wide enough for innocent lives to fall through. These aren't just bureaucratic mistakes, they are moral failings that demand accountability. We must be the voice for victims like Shaniya. We must echo their silent screams for justice and demand changes to the outdated laws that provide meager protection from the monsters lurking in our communities. Let Shaniya's story be the catalyst for change. Let it ignite a fire within us to fight for stronger, more effective protections for our children. We owe this to Shaniya and to every child who looks to adults for safety and love. Let us unite so that no child ever again endures the horrors that befell Shaniya. Let us demand change, be the voice, protect our children. I want to remind everyone to subscribe. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your support will help us cover more interesting investigations. Thank you to every channel subscriber. Your support means so much. Turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.